Alright, what's happening, plebs? We're here with a ban list, not prediction, because I already did that, but we're going to be discussing the format as a whole and how it's been for, let's see, well, definitely an hour max. I got the chat in here with me, so this is from stream. So, you didn't get to watch this live if you're watching this on YouTube, so it sucks for you, but I'm here with a bunch of players and young thugs out in the struggle here. And we just been struggling through this format, man. So it's been a long one. Man. What month is this? August is actually 31 days. Okay, August is on Monday, right? But let's just say we're in August because it's like the 29th today. So that's 8 months. Take away 4 is 4. So like 3.5 months. Probably a little bit more when the ban list actually does drop throughout August. We're gonna say like 4.5 months of this format, right? So we've had 4.5 months of this format. I think for the most part, let's see, we began with the adjusted list. So the adjusted list was keyboard, Joker, Luster, limited, Tolly, plush, juggler, band. Now, might as well just bring it up. I should probably put in like adjusted list. 3rd of February, yeah, so the format got adjusted from November after we had Bosch full power, and they did this, so here it is. Now, all I can say, I was pretty glad to get out of that format. A lot of people would have argued that tier 0 decks and tier 1, tier 0 decks, probably tier 0 is probably the better term, are the best kind of formats there is. I'm not sure. But that's a whole different topic because of the fact that what the adjusted list did was it basically brought us a diverse format. That's the point, right? And it's been, not like the best, I would say. There has been like ups and downs in terms of like, for me personally, like when it came to like enjoying the everything, like enjoying this format. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there was times where I just wanted to like fucking kill myself, like if I had to see another tin can set 3 play, you know what I'm saying? So where were we after the adjusted lit? Well, after November, right? So that's kind of where this format, no, actually the format started in, I don't even know why am I talking about the adjusted list? Really, the format started in April, but well, actually the thing is, the format really started with the adjusted list, because the adjusted list is basically this list here, which is the April list. That's we've kind of been playing the same thing for that long. So realistically, we've actually had like a 6-month format, if not more. We've actually had a 6-month format. Can you believe that? Because that's actually how long it's been. No Lolly in today, man. I should probably ask him. But I'm riding solo for tonight. Isn't it crazy to think, guys, that we've had 6 months of this stuff? Because the adjusted list was in February, and that's this list, and the April list here is basically the adjusted list. The newer things we had here were all pretty irrelevant. Restrict, Norden, Wisdom Eye. I mean, nobody was playing Magicians anyway, really. But yeah, so nothing was actually added to this list here that really changed much. Crush Card going to 3, Tragodia, Demot going to 3. None of that actually really affected anything. So really, realistically, we've been playing with the same list since February. And what can I say, man? How many sets have we had? Chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we've only had 1 set this format, right? And that was Shining Victories. I think that's all we've had. And what came in Shining Victories that was relevant? Other than Fire King Island, there was Demise in the Millennium Pack, I think, before that. So Millennium Pack and Shining Victories were really the only 2 sets that adversely affected this format. And it's really hard to say, like, what that actually did for the game, because it didn't really change much, except we saw more floodgates, unfortunately. When do you think we'll get a new ban list? Honestly, like, it's hard to say with Konami anymore. Like, we used to have rotational ban lists, now we don't. Really, who knows, man. I think they have to give us a new ban list before the next big event, which would be Rimini, YCS Rimini. Or is there one before that? There might be one before that, I'm not sure, but I think it definitely has to be before the end of August. Like, they surely can't expect us to play, like, movie pack boosting Blue Eyes. Yeah, so Blue Eyes is probably going to leak into the next format. Playing against BA for 2 years. Exactly, exactly. Fixed ban list dates. I mean, yeah, I'd say so because it makes you be able. It lets you prepare better, honestly. Now the format itself has. What has it really been though? It's just been CCG London. Oh yeah, sorry. Of course, we've got our European ARGs as you know we're gonna call them. um, but the next Konami event is probably gonna be next format, right? But also CCG London is actually very different because of the fact that Dark Illusions is legal for that event. So it kind of doesn't count because that's essentially going to be a different format. So in terms of discussing what we have now, it's kind of been the same since like February. What is this more or less just Monarchs, fucking Cosmo, Pendulums kind of died for a bit, but then they sort of came back like halfway through. People started playing them again. Burning Abyss, of course, like Jesus. It's been really drastic stuff, you know. Now, has there been good things about this format? Let's start with the positives. Positives, good things, I guess, about this format so far have been the diversity. I don't know if that's a good thing, because like I said, some people don't like diverse formats. Some people like formats that are pretty defined, which is, you know, understandable, because in the end, like, being able to build for your decks and your opponent's decks and stuff like that, like, what's the word, what word am I looking for? Being able to build for your opponent's decks reliably, I guess that's the best word that comes to my mind right now, is, you know, obviously a big advantage, because, like, you know, for example, Dragon Ruler format, you know, you're gonna play like 50 Dragon Mirrors like throughout, like, whenever, right? So if you're playing that many Dragon Ruler Mirrors, you can play like cards that help you in that matchup, like main Maxis and stuff like that. You can start adding in further stuff like Emptiness. If you're playing a rogue deck, you know you're gonna have to main triple fucking Iron Wall and Emptiness and stuff like that, right? So in varied formats, however, it's a little bit different, because there's going to be times where, for example, like this format, you're going to have cards like Maxi, which are absolutely amazing against Burning Abyss, but maybe not so great against Pendulum or Monarchs, for example, right? If you Maxi against Pendulums, generally they can kind of just Pendulum 3 guys, and then you get like one draw, and they can like pass it from there, and, you know, they're sitting with a Karen on board, and you know they're not gonna die, so you've essentially just got 1-for-1, like, you know. But then again, if you Maxi Burning Abyss, like, they're just gonna, like, you know, they could lose potentially if they don't keep going next turn, right? So, you know, there was some deck building issues in that regard, because some things are bad against other decks. For the most part, however, like, you could kind of just take any deck and you'd be kind of okay against everything, right? If you take a very, very bog standard Monarch list, it's not going to have a bad matchup against anything, and it's kind of always just going to have a good matchup, right? And Monarchs dominated a lot this format, I think. Way, way more than I personally expected. Diversity in format equals demise and everything. I don't mean that kind of diversity. Decks are more accessible. Yep, there was a point in time this format where I owned every meta deck. I literally owned every deck, and it didn't cost me a lot of money at all. It, like, literally was like £250 or something to own every meta deck because of Gold Series, which was really awesome. So shout outs to Konami for that. I think that was really cool. That, you know, I would never have been in my life been able to say I own 4 meta decks. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no way anyone in this, like 90% of people, and pretty much probably everyone in this chat, would not be able to say, oh, I own every meta deck in 2009. You know, you could not have said that shit. In 2011, you could not have said that shit. Do you know what I'm saying? So that was, you know, it's cool to be able to do that, but does that necessarily mean that we're going to get good gameplay out of that? That's a big question. It's a big question. Are we actually going to get good gameplay out of that? Possibly not. Possibly not, man. Because, like I said, the biggest problems that I had was the fact that this format was very, very, very ignorant in some cases. there was a lot of luck this format sometimes. Um, if you play something like Monarchs and you go first and you open well enough and you set up your Stormforth Aether return for next turn, or you activate Domain and have Stormforth Aether, for example, automatically that puts you in such a good driving position. It's very hard to beat. And obviously games are best of 3, not best of 5. So beating that is going to be very tough. This Demise decks that came out with Millennium Pack, and again, that just made early rounds of a major tournament, which I happen to be on the receiving end of, can fuck players' days up, because set 5, win the dice roll, get lucky enough with your set 5 in the game 3, you've kind of got the game in the whole match in the bag, right? So Demise promoted a lot of that shit, unfortunately. Monarchs, again, like I said, completely steamrolled you if they opened well enough. Cosmo, when Shining Victories came out, they had Fire King Island, which turned out to be not very consistent. For some reason, what can I say, man? I was really far off the mark. I was really, really far off the mark. I thought that deck was going to be, tier 0.5 alongside Monarchs. I thought Monarchs and Cosmo were just going to shit over the entire format, but I was wrong. I was so wrong. I could not have been more wrong. I've never been that wrong in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think. I really, really thought Fire King Cosmo was going to be the absolute insanity, but it wasn't. It actually ended up being one of the worst meta decks. Unbelievably, Cosmo Fire King was just one of the worst meta decks. Cosmo Demise was unbelievable. Fraser Smith managed to pilot that deck at YCS. Fuck knows. Playing Cosmo Demise, right? Making, what do you play? You play like 3 Farm Girl, or 2 or 3 Farm Girl, 3 Tin Can, like a Sword Trooper maybe, like a very, very few limited amount. You play like 11 or 12 monsters, Dualities, Demise, and 20 Traps. You're good to go. And that was a very, very, very annoying deck to play against. Despite that, however, it did gain a bit of popularity, but it was not the best deck. Burning Abyss, somehow, I think, ended up being, like, the best deck of the format. I 100% thought you were going to be right with Fire King. So did I. That's why I said it. I honestly thought that, the ceiling of that deck was unbelievable. Did this guy just Exodia him? Did you just hand destruction Exodia pieces? Oh, wow. Anyway, back to the discussion. Yeah, the Fire King Cosmo deck just had so many inconsistency issues, and Burning Abyss just managed to... Burning Abyss, unbelievably consistent deck, man. Just unbelievable. The most consistent deck ever, Look what Alpe did with Fire King Cosmo. The thing about Alpe is, Alpe could have piloted any deck, and he would have potentially got, top 8 at Euros, you know what I mean? I don't think the deck really means anything. Alpe is a next level player, do you know what I'm saying? I really don't think the deck is relevant. That guy could take fucking Volcanics to a YCS and top with it, do you know what I mean? Oh wait, someone already did that. You know what I mean, right? But overall, Fire King Cosmo kind of flopped, as this guy just says here. I agree, man. I think it really did flop. In this format, it was either you brick or not. Except that there was Tin Can. I mean, yeah, this was a very inconsistent format, which is why I think Burning Abyss shined so much. It really, really was something crazy. Just opening Beatrice coming out in gold was just everything the deck. Somehow it was great. It was great. Just detached Dante Sensier, make another Beatrice and shit like that. Just unbelievable level consistency. Just so much consistency. And I think that's why the deck did as well as it did. Holy shit. Star Venom Fusion Dragon just got Magic Cylindered. Apparently didn't work or do anything. Set Ice Hand. Wow. I love Death Pro. Oh wow. My Death Pro crashed. That's nice. Draco Spectres, Can't Tornado, Dark Destroyer equals RIP. Yeah. So there was a lot of ignorance in the format as well. Dark Destroyer is a bit good example. Like Stormforth is another example of a card that's similar to Dark Destroyer in the sense that they limit deck design. It limits what options you have in choosing a deck and how you build your deck, because if you know you're going into a format with Dark Destroyer and Stormforth, certain decks just automatically out of the question. So automatically when you go into an event, you think to yourself, I need something that doesn't lose to Stormforth, and I need something that doesn't lose to an untargetable 3000 monster, because a lot of decks really struggle to get over Dark Destroyer. Burning Abyss cannot get over Dark Destroyer. You know, their only way to do that, like consistently and reliably, is to be able to like F0 or crash Break Sword if, you know, as they're playing the Phantom Knight version, which you can assume they are playing the Phantom Knight version, because that did end up being the best variant, I guess, or at least the most represented. Blair from Card Guys thinks Fire King Cosmo was best. It was like, yeah, it was good. It was good. I can't say that I agree, honestly. The deck, like, you know, there's a lot of auto win combos with that deck. It was funny because, you know, like, what's his name? Jeff Jones actually posted about it on Facebook, saying it was one of the hardest decks he'd ever played, and I think that's really interesting. You know, how like one of the best players this game has ever had saying the deck was just too hard. And that was another problem with the deck, because if you pick a deck for an event, you know, you're going to be playing for 8-9 rounds straight day one. You're going to get tired, you're going to get like exhausted mentally, and you're sitting there with, you know, Dark Destroyer, Island, Slip Rider in hand, and you're just like, how the fuck do I do this combo again? You know what I mean? Like, people fuck up. And that was, you know, that's another problem with that deck. If you have something like Burning Abyss, very linear generally, you know, you don't have many decision trees with Burning Abyss compared to like Monarchs or Fire King Cosmo. I think that's one of the advantages of that deck, that format, this format. I'm glad we're going to be getting away from that generally. I just feel like this format could probably have been solved with, well, the thing is, that goes on the premise that this format is bad, which I don't think is a correct assumption, because a lot of people think this format is bad. I don't think that's objectively true. If the format was that bad, we wouldn't have had the biggest NAWCQ in history, right? You know, I'm pretty sure the EU WCQ was the biggest in history. Not sure about that. I heard it was. I don't know if that's factually true. But the EU WCQ had a big turnout for European standards. European events tend to have lower turnouts for whatever reason. Sadly, there wasn't a lot of Rogue. Was a one Inferno tots with us. I don't know if that's sadly. Like, that's the issue, you know. Like, if you did well with Rogue this format, it was probably like down to like demise, you know. Should I go to the chat now? Probably after, actually. But yeah, so it was a bit of a shit fest in that sense, because like you were just losing to so much stuff. You were losing to Stormforth, you were losing to Dark Destroyer, you know, or you were just getting like OTK'd by Burning Abyss. Burning Abyss, you know, I think is one of the more fairer decks. It's very powerful, but it doesn't do anything particularly unfair. You know, it's just a super consistent deck. Sometimes it can get a bit lucky with the mills, but overall the deck is like, oh, and it's also not that easy to OTK with. It can, of course, OTK, but it's, you know, it's not on the level of like Fire King Cosmo, for example, right? So I feel like Burning Abyss is kind of cool because it is like it. I mean, yeah, Seer is a bit unfair. Like, the Seer Dante loop is pretty good. You know what I mean? I don't know why that was ever designed to bring back extra deck monsters, honestly. BA is a deck almost never minus it. Yeah, exactly, because like, you know, you're just constantly like floating. Like, that's all that deck does, it just floats. I think it's a bad format overall because there's so many blowouts and win conditions, and really is dice roll oriented. Going second is not even viable most of the time. Okay, let's break that down. So blowouts and win conditions is true. Like, you can easily, like, just what, there's so many like one card combinations in this format that just blow you out, you know what I mean? Like, you can actually just lose to like your opponent like topping, you know, the right Monarch spell combination, for example. You know, they can top an Aether and then suddenly, like, you know, they're back in the game because they go summon Aether for Aether, send pan get a search. You know, there's a lot of situations like that where they need one or the other combination. Like they can top deck a tenacity for a Stormforth or a Stormforth for a pan or something like that. Like there's a lot of like, each individual card this format is very powerful, you know. But the thing is, a lot of them are only powerful in conjunction with other cards. You know, like if you top deck something like E-Tele, sure, that's really good, but you know, you're gonna need a ship in your hand, for example. You know, or your opponent needs an empty field if you're planning to E-Tele for Farm Girl. There are so many scenarios where the cards are just so powerful, but they're only powerful in conjunction with other things. Burning Abyss doesn't really have Saki top decks, but there are various opening combinations that are just really unbeatable. You know, if your opponent opens like Beatrice, Dante, Abacro in the Tour Guide Search and Yen phase, for example, like a lot of decks are just gonna lose. They will just lose. You know, if you open Return Domain Aether, you know, a lot of decks can't come back from that. In Pendulum, you know, if you open something like Terraforming Abductor Bumbuku, you're not going to win that game. There's so many like individual cards that were really powerful this format that really made it like a bit of a nightmare, and I guess, as this guy's saying, kind of dice roll, you know, because some games this format were literally just unwinnable, you know, which is fair enough. Oh, Valor Eidos, wow, get wrecked. Outplayed. See what I mean? This is another thing as well. Like this guy probably has a sick hand. His hand is probably so fucking good. You know what I mean? But he just got Veilored on his Eidos there. So like, unless that's a Stormforth Aether in hand, which would be really sacky, if that's a Stormforth Aether in hand, this guy here in this duel we're watching live is like, he's fucked. You know, if that's not Stormforth Aether, and because just this one card completely shuts down. Like he's done. You know what I mean? And there's so many combinations like that in this format. If you're playing as Burning Abyss and you open Max C, they could potentially just be done. You know, they're fucked. They can't play at that stage. With Cosmo, if they open Demise and a Pilot, you're fucked. You probably can't come back from that. Oh, he's got Escalation, so you can probably summon Kuraz, I guess, or Vanity's Fiend. Ooh, hello. That's not very good though, because yeah, that's not going to do anything. But you guys know what I mean. So let's go back in the chat, and you guys can throw some points out there. I think I've been talking long enough. I want to hear what you guys think. So just throw some generic comments out there for me to talk about, I guess. So I'll just scroll back a little. I expected Fire King Cosmo to get better, but I still thought that Monarchs would shit on them. They did. I did so much testing with this deck, and as insane as the boards that Fire King Cosmo could open, if Monarchs open equally playable, like, there was no way Cosmo could beat Monarchs. The Fire King version anyway. Traps do help a lot. I also thought people wouldn't play BA after Ghost Reaper came out. I was so wrong. Yeah, I mean, I made a video talking about, is Ghost Reaper really that good? And the answer was no. It clearly wasn't that good. We had a format of 21 out of 64 spaces in Top Cut. The NEWCQ was Burning Abyss, and this was after Ghost Ogre got released. You know what I mean? So it just goes to show you just how little that card impacted Burning Abyss. The card's really good, but you need to open it. Like, you hands down need to open that card, or else it's just not good enough. And that, you know, and again, that's another reason why this format is not liked by some people, is the fact that you can open Ghost Ogre against Burning Abyss and you just lose the game. Just can't play. Physically cannot play the game. Might as well just give up. Unless you open enough Phantom Knights. Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon, untargetable, 4000 attack monster, Dark Destroyer ain't nothing. Yeah, that's really scary. I ain't looking forward to that. I'm probably not going to be playing much next format at all. I'll just probably stream a bit and stuff. I just can't afford to go to any events, unfortunately, so I'll definitely be recording and doing at locals and stuff. I mean, all my friends pick up meta decks, so, you know, I can get that shit out there. I'm glad I don't need to stare down a 4K untargetable. Jesus, I thought Dark Destroyer was bad. To be fair, Dark Destroyer is a little bit better because of the silly interactions it does with, like, targeting itself, blowing itself up, get Strawman, get back Dark Destroyer, get Tin Can, get another Dark Destroyer, you know what I mean? Rogue, nice floodgates. Yeah, basically. You can't play Rogue. Like, you haven't been able to play Rogue without floodgates for, like, I don't know how long now. I don't think Seer is fair. I think that the only thing that Konami can really hit realistically on the next ban list would be like banning Seer. Would probably be like I guess the most mild thing they could do, because the Dante Seer thing is unbelievably good. And the thing about it is you only need one Seer to make it be really amazing. So they would either have to just outright ban Dante or ban Seer. And I think banning Seer would be more fair, because you could still kind of play the deck without Seer. I say play, not do well, by the way. I think it's a bad format overall because there's so many Oh, I already mentioned that. Lavabo chain an opponent's turn is pretty unfair. Farfa, your shit. Yeah, Beatrice is really good. Like, that's all there is to it. Like, that card is really good. Top deck monkey boards. Yeah. But that doesn't happen very often. Double Beatrice anti-spell. I mean, that's shit you're gonna see at a big event. Next meta might also be dice roll oriented. Blue Eyes, Metaphors, and ABCs can make really good first turn control boards. Yeah, I've seen some footage of them, and honestly, it doesn't feel like the game's getting any better. Like, it really, you know, for the past, like, I guess since November, the format is like, or the game in general has really just been, how big of a board can you throw out? That, you know, like, that's it. Like, how big of a first turn board can you pull off? And then can your opponent break through it? Format was cool because you had to play bad cards like Garnet and Fire King Chicken. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if that's what's cool about it, because again, like, that's another bad thing about the format was deck building. You know, you had these higher ceiling cards like Fire King Cosmo and, you know, Blue Eyes extra deck, and they had to play cards like Lazuli and Yaksha, you know, just to like, and sometimes they would have really, you know, what's the word, contradicting hands where you either open like those, like extra deck Monarchs with a Brilliant Fusion in hand. You can open so good with that deck. There are so many good openings with that deck, unbelievable openings with that deck. And then you can have hands of just like Lazuli, Stormforth, Tenacity, no big Monarchs. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't play. You know, or you can open like double Kuraz, Aether, Erebus, fucking Prime, you know? And you cannot do anything, you know, which is unfortunate. Format was oh right, Blue Eyes go second. You can go first and sit with a Dweller, Strike, and a Veiler in hand. I'm not sure what we're talking about there. I think Pendulums were fair for what they did, just some individual cards are too good. I always liked Pendulum because of the fact that generally it did promote a back and forth gameplay, because both players were able to grind and both players could Pendulum out, Soul Charge once per turn. But something like Kieran absolutely needs banned. Like the stream title changed that format for a Yu-Gi-Oh! And you did a Slayer video. Slayer's latest vids gave me cancer. Yeah. I feel like 2015 was better than this format from a poor playing point. Floodgates were a big problem, though. Late 2016 was dice roll oriented, but early to April 2016 was a very good format, unless you're an idiot and think that Cosmo was good. Pepe formats were always back and forth. From a poor playing point? I don't know what you mean by that. Floodgates have always been a problem. And 2016, the bit dice roll, yeah. Early April 2016 was a good format. I think Before Shining Victories was okay. Dark Lords can potentially be a sleeper deck in the next format. I have not looked into those yet. I just want to see this plant deck. Doesn't CCG give you money for your decks? No. We just promote each other and shit, you know. I don't know if it would be played or not, but Max with Floodgate Trap Hole sounds funny. Floodgate Trap Hole? What's that? I like the format before Necros got their last hit. I mean, who doesn't? Everyone seems to love that. CC doesn't pay them their decks, but they can get the cards for a specific event. Not even. That's actually not really how it works. Like, it's kind of just whoever has spare cards. I didn't borrow anything from them because I personally just bought all my cards, everything I needed for the event, and I just eBayed them away after. Like, I literally just sold my Avions before the stream. I saw in my dream construct at 1. Oh, okay. Was that a nightmare or a dream? Sounds like a nightmare to me. Pepe format maybe would be good. Only mirror matches if Wavering Eyes was banned at the time. Yeah, I mean, totally, you know. I feel like, you know, Infinity should probably be banned as well. Like, who the fuck makes Infinity properly? Like, nobody at all. Is there a big delay or is it just me? No, I mean, streams always have a bit of delay. Dark Lords have non-targeting, Raigeki Break, and Mind Control. Oh wow, that seems pretty funny. Floodgate Trap Hole is a new card, you should look it up. Alright, okay. What's going on with this duel, by the way? It's like... anything happened here? Alright, okay, it's just going really slowly. This is Dark Illusions, right? Floodgate Trap Hole. Oh wow, it's actually called Floodgate Trap Hole. Your opponent summons a monster, change the fuck is this? Go away. When your opponent summons a monster, change that monster. Oh, okay. So multiple monsters as well. Face down defense. Monsters change to face down defense, but cannot change it. So it's literally Quaking Rare Force, but for like summoning. Ugh, it's a bit disgusting. I just want to play my Draco Pals. Don't touch Monkey Board and limit, not ban Kirin. The thing is, like, Kirin is... you can't put that thing at 1 or 2. You need to ban it or just keep it at 3 because you have 3 Bumboku. You know? Like, if you open Bumboku and you normal it and you search Kirin, you're only ever going to search Kirin. What else are you going to do in that situation? Do you think Burning Abyss will need a lot of hits to die? I think just a few cards is enough. Well, I mean, but they could you can give Burning Abyss 3 Tour Guide, 3 Skarm, 3 Graph, 3 Seer, 3 everything. If you ban Dante, the deck can't do anything. So, I mean, technically, no, it doesn't need a lot of hits. You could just hit 1 card and the deck would die. I think, realistically, like I said earlier, for Burning Abyss, they would just have to stop the Dante loop in some way. Yeah. I don't know what else they can realistically ban. Honestly, I think Graph at 1 was like the wrong call because realistically you only need 1 Graph for your Tour Guide. Like, you go Tour Guide into Graph, you know. You only really need 1. And the deck can still be really good. I think Seer is the really good card. Like, bringing back your Dante is really good. Bringing back your Dante and then ranking it up into Beatrice is crazy. It's really good. I wouldn't say crazy. We've seen crazy stuff in Yu-Gi-Oh! That's not crazy. Making Beatrice is not crazy. But it's very good for this format, obviously. Let's see. Come on, guys. Throw some more shit out here. Kirin, sack. It's at 0 or 3 card, lol. It would be like Soul Charge. And it wouldn't be like Soul Charge because you can't search Soul Charge. That's... There's like 6 cards that search Kirin. There aren't 6 cards that search Soul Charge. I mean, you can search Soul Charge technically, but no deck plays like left arm and stuff realistically. Draco Pal lost most of its charm when Face Off got limited. The Draco Slayer extra deck summons were the best part. Yeah, which is why I really like CCG's Pendulum list, because it realized that the Draco Pals aren't good enough. You know, you need to focus on the Odd Eyes stuff, which was better. And it was actually really cool because of Odd Eyes being able to just deal with Cosmo monsters really easily, being able to steal games with Odd Eyes. I think I really enjoyed Pendulum this format. After Shining Victories. Did Shining Victories even change that deck at all? I don't think it did. No, I don't think that Shining Victories really affected it, did it? Sky Iris we've had for a while. Abductor, Mad Spec, we've had these for ages. Yeah, I don't know why it took so long for CCG to make that deck. It was really good. If you would play Pepe now, you would cut Infinity. The Juggler is foolish, and you would completely loop the Slayers around and end with like almost every hand with 38 Ignister and 1 to 2 Mad Spectres or Dynastar with Vector and skill. Yeah, I mean, like, the face-off really provided a lot of that. Just being able to open face-off was like +1, you know, if you hit the Luster in the scale, +1, like, really good deck. Do you think if that Kirin gets banned, playing QB and Tempest Tornado will be viable? Which one's QB again? Is that the cat? And I don't know, honestly, because it depends on the next format. You can't target Blue Eyes Chaos Max, so, I mean, that's something you're going to have to take into consideration when you choose decks, and there'll be a lot of Blue Eyes decks out there, trust me. A lot of weebs in the world. So I wouldn't be surprised if Konami banned Dante, just like how they banned Construct. I'm really so shocked that Burning Abyss managed to slide through that ban list. You know, in November, when Necros and Shaddoll just got murdered, and, like, Burning Abyss was just like, we're really out here. I don't know how they survived. You can search Solchar. Yeah, I know. Not you know, what's the word? Reliably. Oh yeah, they got Odd Eyes Unicorn. That was actually really important. Spell speed 1 ignition effects are beyond useless in the current game. They always get stopped. Yeah. The game is really fast. That's why Karen is so good. It's like once per turn during either player's turn. Being able to just like, oh, so good. Seer has to be banned. Can we talk about people that says Yu-Gi-Oh will die because of Pokemon Go? Pokemon will die in 1 or 2 months. Pokemon Go has so much potential, and I hope that the thing about Pokemon Go, we're literally in a beta right now. Like Pokemon Go is literally just beta right now, so we'll see how that goes. Odd Eyes came in Shivi, yeah. Odd Eyes Unicorn Phoenix, yeah, that was definitely like what changed it up a lot. Yu-Gi-Oh is somewhere from dying anywhere, is nowhere near dying anywhere soon unless Konami royally fucks up. Yeah, definitely not. I don't know. Like, I made a video about it, so you can watch that later. QB means fox. Nekomata is cat, obviously. Obviously, how do you not know your Japanese animals, Nadir? My bad. Why does America have a different ruling when resolving Call a Haunted MST? I don't know, because Donald Trump is an idiot. No one in America was even recognizing BA as a top deck until any WCQ. What? They won 2 ICSs in a row in the US. Are you talking about BA? Pokemon is like Flappy Bird. It will die. Flappy Bird didn't have... Flappy Bird... Okay. Oh my god. I'm not going to talk about Pokemon. I'll argue that another time. I've been testing Into the Void on Draco Pals to get the key combo pieces fast, and it works pretty well, especially since you can resolve Into the Void before you resolve Mad Spectre. Well, that's really good, man, but that's not what we're talking about right now. Talking about this format, and yeah, I think I'm going to end this really soon. Well, I'm going to end the YouTube portion really soon. I'll probably still stream for a little bit. I think that overall it's been not as bad as people think. I think that, you know, I don't know if you guys remember that stream I did with Patrick Hoban, and, you know, I asked him specifically what you think of this format. I specifically asked him, you know, what do you think of this format? Like, do you enjoy it? Do you think it's bad? What would you change for it and stuff like that? And literally his only response was, you know, like, what I think, like, specifically I asked him, like, you know, what do you want for the next format or something like that? And he's just like, you know, I'm ready. Like, that was his exact words, was he said, I'm ready. And I think that conversation with him just completely changed my outlook on the game, because it's like, it's so easy to complain about Dart Destroyer and Stormforth and Saki Demise and Stormforth and bullshit like that, and it's like, it's a card game. It has RNG and luck. If you don't like it, just quit. You know what I mean? Like, there's no point in judging formats and suggesting that, well, you can suggest things critically to Konami, of course, and say, like, you know, I think this about the format, I think that about the format, but to complain about the format, you know, it's just like, why? Like, you know, just get good, just deal with it. And that's literally how Patrick Hoban, like, framed it. He was literally just, the impression I got was literally just like, you know, I don't care how quote-unquote degenerate the format is. He just sees that as a challenge, you know? He just saw that as like, I mean, okay, cool, like, the format, you know, has its quirks, and I'm just gonna find a way to beat it, and I'm gonna find a way to deal with it. You just saw it as a challenge, you know? And so many people I know just, and it gets to the point where it's just annoying and boring, like, oh, this format sucks, and it's just like, just go quit then, you know? Like, Patrick Hoban, he's up for the challenge, you know, that's what he said. He's like, you know, actually, the semantics of the format is irrelevant. I'm going to find a way to beat it. I'm going to find a way to get over all these problems of the format. I'm going to find a way to, you know, deal with this format. And it's just like, that's how you should honestly see every format, you know? And I'm going to write an article about this, by the way. Something similar. Spoilers. It's going to be called Justify Our Losses, It's Okay. I'm publishing it through the CCG because I have to do work, apparently, when I join them. Haha. But yeah, I'm looking forward to writing that, or finishing it off, rather. And yeah, it's just the idea that, you know, you just play a format and deal with it, you know? You just deal with it. Like, why complain? If you're going to complain that much and say how much you hate the format, just fucking leave. This guy's playing Mountains. Is that a deck? Is that like a deck, like a deck Abyss Actor? Ooh, these look cool. Abyss Actor? Does anyone know what these are? They're like clowns and stuff. Anyway, so I'm gonna wrap this up really quick for the YouTube portion. I'm just gonna read through some comments really quickly. If you're comparing Flappy Bird and Pokemon, you'll probably die. Have you ever played Yu-Gi-Oh! Online? No, never. You ever played Yu-Gi-Oh! Online? Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! Online 3? Never heard of it, sorry. Complaining about good cards is like 90% of the fun. Yeah, I mean, that's what players do. They just love to complain. Players love putting the blame on someone else. I didn't lose because I could have played my cards differently. I lost because fucking bullshit. My opponent opened Demise or Stormforth or whatever, you know. Can play as part of the fun and bonding with my friends. It's a really strange way to make friends, but okay. I suggest unban Bryanak. Bryanak isn't banned. Oh, the Synchro one. Okay, sure. Fishboard Blaster, Stratos Monster Reborn. Alright, cool. That's why you don't work at Konami. People say the format sucks, every single format. Yeah, but this format especially, people complain a lot. There's always people complaining about formats. It's way more fun to find ways to win instead of nagging. Yeah, exactly. You know, and that's what the really commendable thing about Hoban's stream was, you know, he just saw it as like dealing with it. Luke messaging me. Is this the real one? Hi Twitch. Oh, for fuck's sake. Fans. JK. Alright, YouTube, thanks for watching. This has been, I guess, my format overview. Not really much else to say, honestly, other than like, overall, my opinion of the format was whatever, you know. I enjoyed the challenge. I enjoy challenges. Me personally, I like that, you know. That's what life is about. Being the best you can, overcoming things, doing better, getting better. What is the point in just moaning about like, oh, this format sucks? Like, if you're gonna complain, you're not gonna do well at events. Complain all you want. Personally, I enjoyed the format because it was a challenge. I enjoyed the format because I got different perspectives on different things. It's just one way to look at the game. So, thanks guys for watching. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe. Let me know down below what you think about the format, and I'll see you next time.